family, friends, and fans. Happy New Year. I am sharing with you guys today a cute elephant that I put on newspaper roll. And if you want to learn how I made this elephant on a Coptic notebook, please continue to watch. I followed a tutorial, which I will link below, from an amazing YouTuber, Sea Lemon. And she's super talented and explains everything so thoroughly. But look at this this is my first attempt at a Coptic notebook. Look how that lays flat. And so what I loved about this, what attracted me the most, was as an artist, when you have an artistic journal, you want your pages to lay flat. You don't want to fight with your pages to stay open while you're working on whatever piece. If you're working on a 1-page piece or a 2-page piece. So I really loved this. This was my first attempt. There's a couple of mistakes here and there, but all in all, I enjoyed it and it was really fairly easy to make. What I decided to do was make another Coptic notebook, and I just added a little flair to it with my newspaper rolls. And by the way, I've updated the process on how I make my newspaper rolls, so I have to do a new video on because now I'm actually assembling them. I'm piecing them together in bunches using my sewing machine, and so it's a lot easier. So you're gonna see all the quilting lines on it on the newspaper rolls, which is really cute. And you'll see those later when I put a close-up, but if you're seeing lines from a distance, that's what that is. I attached the newspaper rolls on there, and look, I also made the signatures with scrapbook paper, and so it added a nice little flair on the edges. And so these are the scrapbook pages that I used. The book still lays super flat, and that's what I love about it the most. And you can do whatever you want. You can use this method to make a junk journal as well, or traveler's journal, or whatever you want. So that is my cute book. And so, okay, I want to take it a step further though. I always want to take it a step further. So what I decided to do was get some tissue paper, and the only reason I use tissue paper is because I have a surplus of it at home. I didn't want to waste my cardstock. Although now that I think about it, maybe cardstock might be smarter because it's more sturdier, but I liked the flexibility of the tissue paper, and so I think from now on I will continue to use tissue paper. So it doesn't have to be perfect, but I measured the tissue paper to the size, so I cut it to the size of the notebook. I flipped it over because I wanted the straighter edge to be flush with the left side of the notebook, and then I'm just going to start a little stitch for the elephant. And for those of you that don't know, I do love elephants. I also want to make an elephant. What I want to do is any donations that I might receive, or anyone that purchases anything from me, part of the proceeds, a percentage of them, will go to elephant protection. And I'd also like to do for the environment, and I would also like to give a percentage to a Down syndrome organization. I actually have one in mind that I know does a lot in the community. I would love to be able to donate. So I guess I would, figure it out how I would divide it, like 1 month this organization, another month another. I don't know how I would divide it, but that's what I would like to do. And so it just gives more purpose to your art and to your life. So definitely, and we don't realize how much protecting the environment and animals and people, we don't realize how how not protecting all of these affects us all. But there's my cute little elephant drawing, and I wanted to make sure he was happy, so I made him really, really happy. And I wanted to make him youthful as well. So there he is. I cut it all out, and you take your time with it. I did take my time with it. I just wanted to speed it up so that the video wouldn't be too long. I was trying to figure out what tape, out of all the tapes that I have, what tape I should use to tape it down, and I just decided with masking tape. It's so flexible, easy to remove, easy to work with, and so I didn't want the masking tape going off the line too much because now I'm going to be gessoing, and I wanted to show you guys the brand. So it's golden. Anyway, it says gesso. It got a little messy because I used the same container to make my own gesso in here. So yeah. So let's get down to business, and I have to decide what brush I'm going to use. So I think I'm going to use two different brushes. I'm going to use a small one for the bigger areas, and I'm sorry, the small one for the hard to get areas, and a big one for all around. I'm mixing it up because it is homemade gesso. I want to make sure everything is nice, and this is not processed in a store, although that's the brand that I use. I do use the golden brand. So all I did was, and you have to be careful you don't get the gesso under the tissue because the tissue is not taped everywhere. And all I did was paint the gesso everywhere, making sure not to get it underneath the tissue. And this was the first time that I experimented with this, so I had no idea how it was going to come out. This is when I got really nervous, and thankfully it went well. Just a matter of being very careful, and that's why I used masking tape. You just got to be very careful. The other problem is you got to be careful not to gesso your tissue onto the surface, and I think I might have done that here, and so I'm just taking that out with scissors as carefully as possible. And I know that I could have taken out more, but I just really didn't want to mess it up, so I was trying to see. So here I'm just kind of cleaning up however I wanted it to look, and I thought that was great. And I'm actually really, really happy, like really happy with the results. So you have your template, and another thing, you can use this template. I could do it on the back of the book, and I can alternate and instead have the elephant painted white and then all the colors all around the elephant. But I really like this one. I like this idea better, but you can do both. Like you can do for the front that way and then for the back the other way, or you could just leave the back the way I left it. What I want is that I want the elephant to stand out more, so I want to create a little bit of a shadow around him. So I'm going to use this twistable crayon. usually when you smudge it, it looks really cool, but in this case it did not. So I decided to get my inky pen and just kind of trace around the elephant, outline him a little bit in the black ink, kind of just make him stand out. Oh, and yeah, I had found an eyeball in my one of my ziplocs, and I went with this one. So it's cute because it has like that little lazy eye that the elephants have, and it also shakes. I mean, like, you know, the eyeball moves. So I thought that was cute. And I have these, I want to say, for, gosh, maybe over 20 years. I never used them, and so I just glued the eyeball onto the newspaper with some tacky glue. I decided to take out my chalk stash and pick out a couple of colors that I wanted to have on the outline of the elephant to give him more like an outlined but kind of shaded look. So I got the brown, dark brown, and my favorite color, green. So the first thing I did was kind of test it onto the gesso to see if I liked how the colors would smudge, and I was pleased with how they came out. And I'll show you guys in a moment. So not too bad. I like the colors. I think I was kind of contemplating if I should do one color or if I should do all the colors. I did a little mix, so that's what you guys will see. So I'm gonna go back and forth, going over with the different chalks, cleaning up, and I continue to go back and forth. I also took this little sponge brush to smudge the chalk, and then I went back in with my black inky as needed. And this is all to taste. This, you know, you do it as you see fit for your vision. Now I decided that I wanted to clean things up a lot more and just make everything pop better. So I'm going to go back in with the gesso, and I could have gone in with white, but I'm enjoying the gesso and the texture that it's giving to the outside, so I didn't want to use just plain acrylic white. Looks like our elephant is ready for some Mod Podge. I'm going to use the homemade Mod Podge for the elephant himself, and then I'll use the store-bought Mod Podge for the outside perimeter. Perimeter. Whatever. You know what I mean. So he's getting himself nice and shiny. And I just cleaned up his eyeball, Please don't laugh, but I could not find my blow dryer for the life of me. But it turns out that not finding the blow dryer was perfect, because I took out my bonnet that I use this for deep conditioning and for roller sets. It actually worked out perfectly. I positioned it on top of the notebook and was able to dry it hands-free. So I'm going to be using the bonnet now for some of my projects, depending on the size, because I can leave it drying in one station and work on something else in another station, and I don't have to hold it. So little tricks and tips that happen when you least expect them, when you think you're doomed. So he is dry and ready. Oh, I love him. Now remember, his ears are hidden for this concept, but yes. And then don't forget that you should be Mod Podging the back as well. All those newspaper rolls need to be sealed in order to give them endurance and protect them as much as possible. Aww, I really, really love him. You can also grab a small flower and put it right there at the end of the trunk, which I think I'm gonna do. I'll think about it, but I think that's what I'm gonna do. And also, I originally was thinking about outlining him in twine. Just little things that you guys could do. So there you have it. That's the cute little Coptic notebook. There you can see the stitching. That's how I joined the newspaper rolls on my sewing machine. I really had fun making this project. I hope you guys did too. Please like, comment, subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Peace.